to talk Mando. So I think everyone should introduce themselves. I'll start just because I like to talk first. Just because I'm talking. But so those listening, Mike Hinton, half of the CaridaCast team, and I normally dress up as a Stormtrooper with the 501st, or I am building protocol droids or Sabines in my garage. All right, Frank, I guess you're up.
Okay, I'm Frank Trinci. I'm part of the Mandalorian Mercs Costume Club. I'm actually the Alarad, which is the commanding officer for the Pennsylvania chapter, and I normally dress up like a Mandalorian.
Cool beans, dude.
I think Colin's next on the list.
Oh, am I on?
I'm just looking down my list.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm Colin Durborough. Normally I'm a Stormtrooper, the other half of the CaridaCast team. And as of, I guess, the other day, I officially started on a custom Mandalorian because I finally have my 3D printer up and running.
Nice.
Excited for that.
And then we have Ken.
I'm Ken Bishop. I'm working on a custom Mandalorian costume right now and getting ready to launch Thank the Makers, a Star Wars podcast.
Clive's next.
Okay, my name's Clyde. I guess you guys know me as I was cosplaying as Vader independently, which I recently retired. Gave that to a great charity for them to use to help them raise money. So it went to a good home. I'm currently building and almost finishing my Mandalorian. Voth Bruticus. My experience with cosplay would be that I've been the commanding officer for the G.I. Joe 13th Civil Defense Group for about 5 years as multiple characters. And I'm also part of other groups and organizations. So that's where I'm basically mostly known as.
All right, Zoe's next. Okay, Zoe, give us your Mando breakdown.
I'm Zoe Hinton. I'm half of the Star Wars Geek Girl podcast. I mostly do one of currently 4 Sabines, and I have a custom Mandalorian in the planning stages, we'll say.
And then that leaves us with Dominic.
Hey guys, how are you? Dominic Pace, and I was a featured bounty hunter as Gekko in The Mandalorian episodes 1 and 3. Been a character actor for over 20 plus years, numerous guest stars, few shows coming up. And happy to be here, guys, and I hope everybody's staying safe.
Oh, well, welcome to everybody. I don't really have any guidelines for the show other than just we can just talk Mando. So I think since we have Frank here, we should start with Mando parties, armor parties.
What would you like to know about them?
Well, Frank, tell us like your first Mando armor party story.
Okay. Well, I've been involved with the Mandalorian Mercs for 5 years now. I've been an official member. January was 5 years, and I've been the Alarad, the commanding officer for the Pennsylvania clan for 4 years now. So when I first started, the armor parties were actually very small. It would just be a handful of people, and it was kind of everybody just doing everything independently on their own. There wasn't a whole lot of guidance involved. And when I took over, I decided to make it a little bit more of a helpful environment. So we've actually opened them up, and they're pretty large now. We've had as many as 50 people at some of the armor parties. And we try to be as helpful as possible because usually there's at least a dozen or so official members there. So we try to help out all the new people that are making their armor and try to make it as easy for them as possible to get involved and to realize how easy it is to make armor.
I've been to a couple of those parties, and they're actually pretty cool. I'm just amazed at how helpful they are. And I think Zoe's been to more than I have of your parties.
Yeah.
So
I've been to a whole bunch of them, and I've made more progress in the last probably 6 months than I have in the whole 8 years that I've been working on my costume. They're quite awesome and very, very helpful.
You want to break down for us what sort of specific services you offer to attendees at these armor parties?
I will say they get more built than they do at my parties because they actually do work.
No slushing machines at the armor parties to distract.
I've seen everything done at the Mando parties, from people getting out a sewing machine and working on stuff, to cutting out Sintra to make armor, to painting in the driveway. It's a whole host of amazing stuff all at one time.
Now, Dominic, have you been to an armor party of any sort in your travels?
Yeah, work closely with the Southern California 501st, and any chance that I have, especially specifically the Orange County 501st, their garrison, I'm there to support, and just to be there for any of their events. I've been, really just heavily involved with the Mercs and also 501st. Matter of fact, the Mandalorian Mercs are scheduled to host me at Star Wars Celebration there. I'm actually going to be signing a complimentary LFL-approved sketch of Gekko. But just been so involved with all the garrisons all throughout the country, the world. Just anything I can do in terms of just donating a little bit of merch for their local causes. We just recently got involved with Tennessee, obviously with their recent tragedy and such. But as far as the armor party itself, it was with the Orange County garrison there a couple of times, which has been a lot of fun.
Come on, I know all these people like to talk. Come on, Zoe. Give us a good Mando story. How long have you been in your Mando armor, Zoe?
I first got my Mando armor when I was 14 for season 1 Sabine. Yeah, that's how long I've been in my Mando. And now I have many more Sabines, and one more in the works, and another Mando in the works. So, lots of Mandos.
Do you still go back and put on your old Sabines, or have you sort of put those all behind?
See, I want to. I think maybe in this, we'll take advantage of this situation to refit the snaps on my first 2 Sabines, because we redid our snapping system for seasons 3 and the epilogue that I have. So if we just have to reconfigure seasons 1 and 2, so I can wear them and easily swap them out like I can with 3 and 4. Because the old clothes that 1 and 2 are meant to go with don't really fit me anymore.
Yeah, I know with Zoe's, we had, for certain reasons, had to get all our costumes out. And we eventually need to build a tote that can hold all her Sabines, because some of the parts are interlaced. And she's working on her backpack right now. Jetpack, sorry.
Yeah, I would. And I'd like to redo the snaps on 1 and 2. I just said that.
Yep.
Mike, I think someone had asked a question when I was dealing with my technical difficulties, asking like what we do at the armor parties and what kind of stuff we offer. And I know Ken gave an answer, but if I can add a little bit more to it.
Oh, please do. I want people to talk, because I'm just...
Sure. So one of the things that we try to do is, a lot of people usually when they come to the armor parties, they'll sit there and say that they have no idea where to start, where to begin. So what we like to try to do is try to get people up and running and get them started. And usually we can help them when it comes to everything from the concept of their Mando right on through. Especially with the popularity of the TV show now, we have people coming to armor parties that they have this idea of what they want to do for their armor. But the thing is, we basically have CRLs that we have to follow for the Mandalorian Mercs. And people will come in and say, oh, I want to do this. And unfortunately, it won't meet the CRL requirements. So we try to kind of steer them in the right direction as far as what they can do and what they can't do. Then we basically get them rolling as far as getting their armor started. Most of our people use Sintra for their armor, which is a thermoplastic. And if you've never used it before, it sounds intimidating, but it's actually very simple to use and very easy to use. It's something that you cut and score with a utility knife, and then you heat it and you can kind of flex it. And then when it cools off, it retains the shape. Sintra is something that's a little difficult to come by, but we as a clan have acquired some. So we've actually gotten several huge pieces of it, and we cut it down, and basically we offer that to the members so that they can cut out their own armor. And, somebody could easily just go buy their armor, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can do that if you want, but it's a lot more economical if we just provide you with a piece of Sintra and you cut it out yourself. And we kind of also feel that at least then you kind of worked for it, and it's almost as though you forged your armor yourself because you've cut it out yourself. But, going from there on, like Ken said, we've had at armor parties where people will be sewing and people will be helping other people with painting and modifying weapons. And working on their helmets and just the whole breadth and width of becoming a Mandalorian.
Yeah, I've seen that. Just and I know Ken, you're working on like a guard.
Yeah, the idea behind my custom costume is somewhat Captain Phasma-esque, so I want to be very shiny and regal and intimidating without having to do a lot of work, other than standing there looking cool.
You know, I could
And
cram
I'm probably 98% done with it.
I could cram you into a protocol droid.
Do they make fluffy protocol droids? Ones that are pudgy in the middle?
I'm waiting for that.
One of the other things that we always point out to people is it doesn't matter what level of skill you have when it comes to doing this. We've had people show up at armor parties that have done all kinds of costumes in the past. We've had people experienced in doing TK armor and various other costumes, but then we've also had people that have had no experience whatsoever. And, you know, we realize that there's people of different levels. So I'm not going to sit there and just say, yeah, go cut that Sintra, because I'm actually amazed at how many people don't know how to use a utility knife. And the last thing I want is somebody to chop their finger off at one of my armor parties. Other than we could easily have a nickname for them. But anyway, you know, and I always point out to people, my son is a member and he's 17 now, but he made his first set of armor when he was 10 years old. And I always point out to people that if a 10-year-old with ADHD can make his armor, you can make your armor too.
Yeah, I've been trying to get Colin to go to one of your parties.
Well, now that I heard he's making armor, I'm definitely going to make sure he gets to one. Of course, that's once the Corona apocalypse is over.
Right.
So, but we're a very tight-knit group. Zoe has been to a couple of the armor parties, and we always try to make it fun as well. When we did our Christmas armor party, we actually did a little bit of a gift exchange and kind of made it our Mandalorian Christmas party. And, you know, I don't have our Life Day party. I'm sorry. I don't have a slushy machine, but in the summer months, we normally will barbecue and we'll make a whole day out of it. You know, I basically look at it as the Mandalorian culture is very family based, and the clan is my family. I'm the ugly stepdad, and I basically open my doors to everybody within the clan.
I drive 90 minutes one way to get there.
Yeah, I think we're close to that. I think, depending on time of day. Well, Zoe's not.
Depending on traffic. No, but I take the train, and the train smells sometimes.
And then sometimes you forget to take the train.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't. I mean, yeah.
I know.
But also, it got canceled because it was frozen. So.
But your Alorad was awesome, and he drove you back to North Philly.
He did. So. It was very nice.
So we're very, very family oriented. When we have the armor parties, and it's kind of fun because we've always invited people that aren't even working on armor. One person in particular, Choo, Dave Castellano, who he's a droid builder, and he has an R2-D2, and he lives nearby. And I had invited him to come to one of the armor parties, and he came with his wife and his 2 kids. And David had no intent of making Mandalorian armor whatsoever. He just came to work on his droid. And after coming to a couple armor parties, his son Luke actually said he wanted to make Mandalorian armor. And now David, his wife, his daughter, and his son, all 4 of them are going to be making Mandalorian armor because they just realized how much fun it was and just how neat it was and how much you get to express your own artistic vision with your custom Mandalorian. You can be the shiny guy like Ken, or you can be, you know, someone who's been through explosions and tons of firefights.
Or like Mike's metal armor. Isn't that Mike that has the metal armor?
No,
from Pittsburgh?
Nick does.
Oh, Nick.
Nick, Mike. Yeah, Nick has metal armor. Yeah, there's people that do have metal armor. Actually, I think we have 2 or 3 people that have it. But yeah, you can. I mean, Mike's armor actually has it's almost like a medieval look to it. Mm-hmm. He's kind of in the old Crusader type, and I mean, even, you know, your other daughter Safi has talked about this concept that she has for a Mandalorian that, from a distance, looks like a Tusken Raider, like kind of has the pipes coming out of the head, so that, you know, if people saw a silhouette of this Mandalorian, they would think it was a Tusken Raider and not realize it's actually a Mandalorian coming after them. So, you can be creative and do things of that sort.
I think it's a wacky and creative stuff that got me into wanting to have a custom Mandalorian costume.
Yeah, I never had a desire for a custom until I went to one of the parties. I was just always like 501st, like show me a CRL where it's in the movie. So, I was swayed as well.
Yeah, it is fun because you do get to basically create your own vision of what one of these background characters would look like in the Star Wars universe. I mean, you look at, Dominic's character, Gekko, who that was a brand new species, which we had not seen before until The Mandalorian. And now you look at that species and you're thinking it blends right in. Like, it looks like it would have been in the Star Wars universe for years and years and years. And that's the thing with our Mandalorians, is that with our armor, it's based enough on what we've seen of Mandalorians on screen, but it's very individual and it's its own thing. It's its own creation, but it still fits in the Star Wars universe.
Yes, and
Hey, Dominic, have you had anyone show up dressed as you yet?
I haven't seen any costumes, but I've seen a lot of stuff being built for his costume. I don't know if Dominic. Oh, there's Dominic. Nope, he left. His. I think his connection's not too good. But I know
Guys,
Dominic.
guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can. Yep.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I just having a little technical issue there. There was a gentleman up in Sacramento. He was so kind to give me, I got to say, 100% screen accurate blaster. And then I just saw on my page there, Lair of Gekko, where another gentleman was like really excited about it because I think he's going to try and cosplay. We've talked to the 501st. I think, I'm sure the Mercs know there's a lot of politics involved. I mean, I'm probably under less than 1 minute screen time, but just as far as getting a real clear shot and the whole CRL and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, for me, if the fans want to do it, I think that'll be the greatest honor ever there. So, either way, it's just been obviously such. This is the only universe to where literally, you're talking about less than 1 minute screen time, but to be less, to be a one of a kind bounty hunter and a member of the guild there was just more than a dream come true for me. So forever grateful to that experience there last year.
Well, and thank you for everything you do for the fans. I mean, I know this is, we're talking about Mandos, but I meant to bring this up earlier. You did a call for my nephew's whose birthday party was canceled. You do calls for all kinds of people, so you're doing wonderful things for the fans.
No, thank you so much. Again, I know where I stand, and really it's sort of a pay it forward to John and Dave and the makeup artist Brian Sipe, and also just the goodness of my heart that literally I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and let's call a spade a spade. I mean, I would genuinely be nothing without the support of everybody, and everyone's been so supportive. So any way I can pay that forward to, a child or people in need, it's just been a dream come true for me. Lifelong fan, of course, in so many ways.
Oh, and Zoe points you out in Superstore when you're in Superstore too.
Yes. Yeah, we got a fun kid one coming up. Nickelodeon, April 18th, I guess, starring a new show called Danger Force. It's a spin-off of Henry Danger, a big show on Nickelodeon there. So good things to come as well. But you should be seeing some more of Gekko as well. So a lot of good things to come.
Well, Dominic, if you're ever in Pennsylvania, we'd love to have you come to an armor party because it would just be fun to have you hang out with us, and we could even show you how to make a few things.
Oh, I would be honored. I'm scheduled with Clyde and everybody, I think, in October.
October.
Yeah, October.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
God willing, we're going to get this back on track here within 30, 40 days. And I would love to spend an extra day with you guys. No plans whatsoever. That would be terrific.
Yeah, I'm not that far away from, I know Clyde very well, and Clyde's been here to the armor parties, and we actually had a premiere party when we watched the premiere episode of The Mandalorian here, and Clyde and his wife came here. So, yeah, we would definitely love to arrange something like that. That would just be cool.
Without question, just really indebted to the Mercs there, and we're confident celebration's going to go through, but that's going to be just another pay it forward to all the fans. There's no charge on this illustration to sign, and I might have a signature coin. I might just offer by donation only, but nothing more. Yeah, I really look forward to bonding with the Mercs, not only at the celebration, but hopefully with you guys out there in Pennsylvania. That would be awesome.
Do you know who did the drawing, Dominic?
Yes, Todd Allen Smith was the gentleman's name.
Todd. We know Todd very well. He's a Pennsylvania guy. Actually, Celebration of Chicago, he drove out with me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I have his artwork that he did of of the Mandalorian. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing that one. That'll be great.
He did.
Yeah. It's already. I already posted it. I think they're just waiting for 100% LFL approval, but I think we'll be fine. And then also, just the approval, of course, that celebration is still going to go on. And
Right,
And God,
right.
God willing, it will.
Yeah, I think he did he did a Sand Trooper for me when I did Droid Hunt.
Yeah, he does some great work, and he's out in Altoona on
Yep.
the western side of the state, and he's a good friend of ours. And like I said, he drove out to Celebration with me, and he gave me some of that artwork. But that's exciting, Dominic. My son and I are supposed to be going. Hopefully, it takes place. And for my son, it'll be his first celebration, so that'll be neat to experience that.
Yeah, I would love to meet you guys. Absolutely.
All right, what other Mando stuff we got to talk about? Frank, the Mandos in Pennsylvania, at least. I'm sure all of them do, but the displays. I've just been going through a bunch of pictures on my phone, and I just remembered all the displays the Mandos have.
Yeah.
Any plans for even better displays in the future?
Yeah, we're actually working on a few different props, and just to give a backstory on that, we like having booth space when it comes to cons and things of that sort, and a lot of other local clans have different props of all different kinds, and one of the most popular ones is a prison cell, and a lot of people like having a cell and using some sort of what we like to call Star Wars magic, where there might be reflecting tape on the bars or something of that sort. And when you take the photo, if you turn the flash on, it looks like they're actually lit up laser bars. So we actually have a prison cell that's like that. But to back up even further, we had decided as a clan that we wanted to make all of our display family friendly and kid friendly. And one of the things that we couldn't stand was when we would go to a con and you would see, little kids would go up to somebody's booth and they would touch something and they get scolded for touching that. And, I'm a father. Mike, your girls are a little bit older now, but, when they were younger, I'm sure that you remember when you tried to go somewhere that little kids are curious. They want to touch things. So what we decided to do was we were going to make every prop within our booth kid-friendly, family-friendly, stuff that they could touch and stuff that they could interact with. So we together as a clan decided what we were going to do, and we were debating whether we were going to do something inside of a starship or something that looked like a landscape on an intergalactic planet. And we decided to go with the intergalactic planet. And we had one of our members as a graphic designer, and she actually designed a backdrop for us, which we then had printed on a 10-foot by 12-foot or whatever it is photo backdrop. So we have that. We actually have a command tent, which we made ourselves out of curtains that we bought at Walmart. But it's a 6-foot by 6-foot command tent. And it basically looks like it would be something that you would see set up on like a temporary base on a planet somewhere. And then we've added to that over the years, and we have our prison cell, and we have a gonk droid, which actually works as a power outlet. We made some fake boulders that basically just kind of props to add to the backdrop. And then we actually made a rifle rack with some very brightly colored rifles. And the reasoning behind that was actually a couple of parents at some events actually, they frowned upon the fact that a few of us were giving our guns to the kids to hold. And what the parents said to me was, look, that's a prop and the kids can see that. But the last thing I would want would be for my child to go into their friend's house and they see what they think is a prop gun and they pick it up and, God forbid it turns out it was a real weapon. So I started to think about that a bit, and I thought, let's make some prop Nerf guns that actually look fake enough that a kid knows it's not a real gun. So we actually took a bunch of Nerf guns and we modified them all the same, and we made them actually very Star Wars looking. They're actually pretty cool looking. But we also made them so that if kids drop them and break them, no big deal. We'll fix them and put them back out there into circulation. Just so that way the kids can hold the rifle when they take photos with us, so they feel like they're actually in the action shot, not just standing there next to us. So That's the bulk of our props. We kind of make them with things that we can find. A lot of the materials are stuff that we find at thrift stores or just sitting around in someone's garage. And speaking of garage, I mean, my garage is full of all of our props, and just everybody ends up bringing stuff over and just saying, here, I thought maybe the clan could use this for something. And then it sits out there in my garage forever until we think of a use for it.
Don't forget to talk about that large gray thing that you have as a prop.
Oh, right.
Large gray thing. That, I think I know what you're talking about. That is actually something that's, it's a cool prop that we have. It's actually mine. It doesn't belong to the clan. I did that on my own. For a while people were always like, oh, where's, you need Han Solo and Carbonite. You need Han Solo and Carbonite. And I just wanted to do something different. So I decided I was going to make a Gungan in Carbonite. So I made a full-size Gungan in Carbonite. And there's the possibility it could be Jar Jar Binks. I don't know. I don't want to say it is him. But we have a Gungan in Carbonite, and we bring that prop to the cons as well. And it seems it's funny how many parents actually get a kick out of that, because it's people that are in our age range, the 30s and 40s, that see that and laugh, whereas the little kids just think it's a cool prop. But the people in our age range kind of get a kick out of the fact that it's Jar Jar Binks in Carbonite. And I assume that's what you were talking about, Ken.
That's it, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, one of the great things with the Mercs is that our stuff does not necessarily have to be 100% screen accurate. And what I mean by that is you would probably never see a Jar Jar Binks and Carbonite in the booth of one of the 501st garrisons or the Rebel Legion, just because their stuff is all screen accurate. Whereas with us, there's a lot more freedom permitted when it comes to our props and our costumes and things of that sort. So it looks like it fits in the Star Wars universe, and we can make it fit into the Star Wars universe.
Well, as a bystander, I think also your display enhances your costumes, which is nice. Like it makes your costumes like nice to take pictures of and stuff, just as a bystander.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot of work to get it to what we have right now. And one of the things within the Mercs as well is that we're always talking with each other, the different clans throughout the country. And I happen to be fortunate enough that I travel on business. Well, not recently, but usually I travel on business, and I'm all over the country. And I've made friends with the Mercs all over the place. Dominic, you said you're in Southern California. I'm actually very good friends with both the San Diego and the Los Angeles clans out there. And when I travel on business, I usually try to go out to dinner with them or go out and grab drinks with them or just hang out with them. And we're always sharing ideas. And there's a couple of ideas I've borrowed from other people. And then there's some of our ideas that other clans have reached out to me and said, hey, how exactly did you do this? Because it looks neat and we want to do the same thing.
I'm trying to convince Heather to let me make the life-size Gungan for our house.
Oh, there you go.
And I want it to be right inside the front door, so that's the first thing that people see.
Start with an Ewok, so it's smaller.
Yeah. Hey, Ken, since you just recently put your application in to become an official member, why don't, if you don't mind, talk about how you went from concept of, because it was a long time ago for me, concept of what you wanted to do and kind of the timeline and how you worked on it and getting to where you got right now.
Yeah, sure thing. So going back to what I said earlier about liking the idea of being able to create whatever character I wanted with the Mandalorian bounty hunter kind of as the template. I've been to conventions, I've seen stuff online, but what I really, really, really wanted to have was just this impressive look without having to do a super ton of work. So I wanted it to be basic, I wanted it to be simple, and I wanted it to be impressive to view. So that's why I lean towards the super shiny Mandalorian, because the The T-visor is recognizable. The armor plates are recognizable. Yet with the Mandalorian mercenaries, you can be as creative as you want to be or as simple as you want to be. And so at first what I was going to do was modify a Boba Fett Hasbro toy helmet. And that turned out to be a heck of a lot more work than I thought it would be. So I purchased a Headshots prop helmet from one of the gentlemen in the New Jersey clan and started working on that. And then I started shaping my armor plates, which is, like you had mentioned earlier, Frank, cutting pieces out of the foam known as Sintra. That's one of the brand names of that material, Sintra. Cutting the plates out and using heat gun to shape them, get them to fit me. And I must have had those things heated 3 or 4 different times with different people helping me because I couldn't heat the plates and hold them against myself at the same time without causing major injury to myself or the material I was working with. So I got a lot of help with that. For my undersuit or my I guess it's a flight suit, right? I purchased a head-to-toe black Dickies coverall, kind of what a mechanic would wear or something along those lines. I have a black flight vest that my armor plate's attached to that I purchased from a seller on Etsy, and I don't remember her name off the top of my head. I'd probably pronounce it wrong even if I did remember it. So I purchased my vest from her. So I must have gone to 4 or 5 different armor parties up at Frank's and got a bunch of help from some official members there, and then just got some creative juices and suggestions from people that were hanging out and helping each other out, and managed to finally put together all the pictures that I needed to submit my application just a few weeks ago. So if things go well, probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'll have my adjustments made and I'll be an official Mandalorian Merc.
Well, that's really cool. I mean, I think I've been to a couple that you were there, so I thought you were like old pro or something like that.
Well, Ken is technically not in Pennsylvania, so
Right.
he's not really supposed to be part of our clan. I've actually known Ken, Ken, I guess I met you probably when I first started trooping, so 5 years ago. And he was working with the New Jersey clan, but I think he just kind of got sidetracked with life and never got around to doing it again.
Yeah, it was amazing how I started working on that Hasbro helmet probably, if I had to guess a number, probably 8 years ago. And I think we met each other in Philadelphia. It might have been at a Wizard World comic book convention or something along those lines. And randomly, oddly enough, I think Heather and I bumped into you at one of the celebrations, and I can't remember which one it was. Just happened to turn a corner and literally and figuratively bumped into you. But it's just amazing how, fate works out or the Force works in mysterious ways that kind of got us connected to where I could get to your place very easily and get so much work done on a costume that I've been working on for over 8 years or so.
Yeah, and Ken, once he gets approved, will be, I think, our 25th or 26th member for our clan here in Pennsylvania, active member. We've had people retired over the years, but as of right now, we have about 24 current official members throughout the entire state. And just to go over what Ken was saying, so the application process, pretty much you submit your photos, and people that are used to the 501st, it's the same type of photos, and then the application team kind of goes over them. And I think that's one difference is that, if I'm not mistaken, Mike, in the 501st, I think like locally it gets approved.
Correct.
Yeah. So with us, it goes to an application team, which it's a whole group of people that are the personnel department of the Mercs, and they basically will sit there and look through the armor and, based on the photos, give you the feedback. And sometimes it's tiny little things, other times it's significant issues that they basically point out what needs to be changed.
And just from going through it with Zoe, the Mando Mercs are tough but nice. I will say. Well, I mean, you know, for anyone building armor, whether it's Imperial, Rebel, Mando, you put a lot of time and yourself into it. And certain people forget that. And there's different ways to hand people bad news and good news. And I felt like the Mando Mercs have a really good grasp of what people put into that armor.
Yeah, one thing, something I always like to say, and you know, when I send the invite out for the armor parties, I even say that it's a positive place, and there are ways to tell people, you know, that they need to fix something without criticizing it. And you know, one of the sayings that I actually like is nobody likes to hear their baby is ugly. So you know, it's there's a polite way to tell someone that, hey, you need to adjust this, instead of saying, oh, that looks horrible, you should completely redo that whole thing. You know, I mean, Ken, one of the things that Ken got feedback on was his gauntlets, and you could see some 3D print lines on them. And Ken was like, he texted me the other day and he goes, I'm just gonna get a whole new pair. And I was like, no, wait a minute, walk off that ledge, Ken. It's not that bad. And it was just a pretty simple fix to do it. Now, granted, it's Ken's time, not mine, so to him, maybe he would have thought it was easier just to get brand new gauntlets. But, you know, you see somebody puts a lot of time and effort and work into something, and you wanna make them feel appreciated and make them realize that I can look at your work and respect the amount of time and effort that you put into that.
Yep.
And thank you for helping me walk off that ledge, or step back from that ledge.
I know some people that can get those print lines out for you if you need help.
Well, now I've got to worry about orange peel. I primed them and put a coat of shiny gloss black as the undercoat for my chrome paint, and now it's got orange peel on it. So I got to do some gentle sanding tomorrow. 2
of Zoe's helmets have been painted from top to bottom twice because of orange peel. So I've had a perfect smooth surface, and when I hit it with the clear coat to seal the lines, it peeled off. Like I had to strip it all the way down. So
see, and now you were doing a Sabine, which is a canon character, so it had to be spot on.
Yep.
Ken is doing his, like he said, Captain Phasma shiny armor Mando, so it has to be spot on. Whereas if he was doing a Mando that had, you know, battle damage, he could have incorporated that orange peeling paint into, you know, his armor and kind of made it look like it was part of the weathering, the natural weathering of the armor.
That's what you're going through next, Colin.
I was just gonna say, so you know, good segue into filling in 3D print lines, because that is literally the next thing on my list. Well, I have one more part to print out for the helmet, but the rest of it is all there. I just need to glue the pieces together and sand it all down into one smooth, cohesive object. What would you guys suggest for, like, I know a lot of people use Bondo. Is that the go-to for putting 3D printed pieces together and filling in the holes and sanding it smooth?
Yeah, a lot of sandpaper.
Yeah, and sand across the lines.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing on my jetpack.
Yeah, and you want to make sure you're using the sandable primer filler.
Yep.
Just so that way it helps fill in the any imperfections that are on there.
Could I also offer up one other suggestion?
Yeah, sure. Of course.
Be kind with yourself when you do this. Take your time with it. Don't rush it. Because that's one of the problems I had the last couple months is I had been working on this for so long that I was starting to get impatient and just want to get it done, that I had to remind myself to take my time and do it right. That way I didn't have to do it again.
Yeah. I mean, right now I have the benefit of having all the time in the world. So, and now that I have enough that I can actually, I bought myself a one of those mouse sanders.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Having to hand sand all the parts of my Stormtrooper armor and hated that. And or all the cut lines anyway.
Yeah.
And so I think that the power sander is going to help me out a bit. once I get myself varying grades of sand grit. But while I'm working on this, I can have other stuff starting to print, because I'll probably end up doing gauntlets next. I'm going to leave like body armor and stuff just to be made out of Sintra, because that's probably not easier per se, but save on printing plastic.
Yeah, I think you're easier on the big flat sheets to stay away from 3D printing.
Yeah, and Colin, I'm actually happy to hear what you're saying about working on this stuff, because one thing we always try to reiterate to everyone is you can work on your armor on your own. You don't have to wait until an armor party, because it seems some people make no progress from one armor party to the next. And, we're all busy. We all have lives. But, I tell people, hey, even if you take 10 minutes to work on this piece, on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday evening or something. So it's great to see people working independently on their stuff, and then you come to the armor party and you get some feedback on things.
Yeah. The only thing that I know, as far as the armor itself goes, I'm pretty set on a direction for how I want it to look, the color scheme, things like that. The only thing that I really am lacking direction on is soft parts. And that's something that I think I'll just kind of slowly come to terms with once I start attending armor parties. I can talk to other people, see what other people like, how far away from the norm I can go,
right,
without straying from the CRL. Because I'm not a fan of doing the whole full body jumpsuit thing. So if I could find a workaround from that would be great. But
Dan, Colin, did we talk on the phone once? There was someone that I spoke with who he was looking at. Was it you?
I don't think it was me. I don't try and talk on the phone with people.
Yeah, there was someone it was someone out in, because you're out in Central PA, right?
Yeah.
It was someone out that way who he was curious about making armor, and he was just like, hey, can you just give me a shout? And we talked for about 15, 20 minutes and just went through some basics. And he was just like, oh, wow, because, he thought it was going to be so much more difficult and so much harder than it was. And yeah, trust me, we can give you some guidance with the flight suit as far as what to do. I recently, after Celebration of Chicago, went to a 2-piece flight suit instead of the 1-piece, and it's just like, wow, how did I ever live with a 1-piece flight suit? So it's so much easier.
Yeah, that's the sort of thought I've been going with, especially because I did the Wilrow hood, the running of the hoods at Chicago, and even that, it's not an uncomfortable jumpsuit, but it's just not me. I'm a shorts and a t-shirt guy.
Yeah.
To get past that. But a lot of it I'm just figuring out as I go along, and I know that it'll come together as I get each individual piece done. Like I'm starting with the helmet because I like that to be the sort of conceptual centerpiece, and then working out from there. I've sort of got a character fleshed out too, and keeping all that in mind. It's just a matter of getting it done now that I have the time and supplies.
So, well, Colin, I just realized that you were never added to we have a little Facebook home base group that pretty much is all the people that are working on armor as well as our official members. And it's just a lot of back and forth conversation in there. I just added you to that just so you can be a part of that as well. And we're actually going to do a virtual armor party on Thursday of this week and just talk about a couple things. And it's always nice to have someone new in there, and we're actually we're going to be fortunate enough that some people from throughout the state who have not been able to physically come to some armor parties are going to be a part of the virtual armor party. So all the officers from our clan will be on and introduce themselves, and we're just going to kind of keep the Mando love going between us all.
So, Frank, you said Thursday. What's the date of that? Just since this recording might come out at different times.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that will be Thursday the 26th of March. Yeah.
And, I mean, I would recommend, I don't know how all other Mando Merc parties are, but the Pennsylvania Mando Mercs, if you can get to one of their armor parties, and people have heard me say this, I like my armor parties too, but The Mando Merc armor parties, especially at Frank's, is really nice. I mean, people get a lot of stuff done. I think one day I just sat and made molds for people the whole day. So.
Yeah, and it's always just, like I said, we're always sharing ideas, and it's funny how many people we will invite to the armor parties, and I'll tell people, even if you don't think you want to make a Mando, just come hang out. We're a bunch of Star Wars nerds. We spend the whole day together, and we will have people come to an armor party, and about 2 hours into the armor party, they're like, yeah, I want to make this. I want to make armor, just because they see how much we're working together and just the camaraderie, and they just realize we're fun. You know, we have one of our newer recruits who's actually, Colin, she lives out in your area. She's in Camp Hill. We met her at one of the hockey games, and she was actually a handler for somebody in the Rebel Legion. And they were walking around with the Mandalorians. I want to say it was the Lehigh Valley Phantoms game. And they were walking around with the Mandalorians. And after that game, she reached out to me on Instagram and said, I really want to join the Mandos. And she's actually almost done with, you know, a majority of her stuff, and it's only been a couple of months. You know, people kind of hang out with us, and I always joke around and say it's my infectious personality. But, you know, maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't know. But they see how much fun we are and how much fun we try to make it. And they just enjoy it.
I'll bring Zuckus next time.
You have
or
like,
Forlom.
mold for Zuckus?
Forlom. I'm resculpting for Forlom.
Oh, is that what you? I saw you working on something. I didn't know if that's what.
No, that's Safi's new 000 suit.
Oh, okay.
I'm redoing all the molds for 000.
Okay.
So, because Matt Martin likes the black, metallic black compared to the other black, according to answers he has given. So I'm gonna redo hers in the metallic aluminum instead of jet black. So it won't be the CRL correct, but it'll be correct to someone in the story group.
Yeah, that's sweet.
I'm waiting for a master class on mold making.
Well, I don't know if you want to take it from me. Mine's just a master. I can make molds. I don't know if it'd be a master class. But
Are you saying it's more of a mester class? Is that?
well, yeah. I mean, no. I mean, I'm trying something new right now. I messed up a mold. It had a bubble in it, so I cut just a piece out that was bad, and I re-poured that part of the mold. And that I'm gonna see if that will work and save me from making an entirely new mold. We can have Sean here again at my, you know, you guys get Sean down at your party. He can make some molds.
Sean Fields.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was making Scarif troopers at my last armor party.
Yeah, that's right.
And those things were coming out like glass.
Oh, his
Which
looks so nice.
now the last 000 face mask I did, we realized how to make those smoother. So I am learning. I'm trying to make like the new clone helmet that I'm working on. When it comes out of the mold, you won't have to do anything but cut it and paint it. No cleanup, nothing. That's my plan. But that's not Mandalorian, so.
Yeah, but how's your Stormtrooper coming along?
Sandtrooper just needs sent in. That's what you sound like, Marty.
Keep saying it every episode until one of these days you'll actually be done.
It's done. It just needs sent in. It's everything. I fixed I wore it at Steel City. Marty gave me his critique of what needed fixed. I fixed it, and I just have to submit the pictures. I'm just not up for rejection right now.
Well, and Mike, eventually, I'm sure you're gonna work on your Mando.
Oh, I'm sure. I have the Mando helmet. It's being smoothed right now, so I'll have a mold of that soon.
Are you gonna try and do a full Din Djarin Mando?
Yeah, that's the one that appeals to me right now. But I don't know if I want to do him or my custom one to match what the girls do. Because I'd like to take what each of the girls are doing and try to figure out like an in-between, like a combo, if that makes sense.
So the Loth Wolf helmet, but with the Tusken Raider body?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. I hit half a wing. I'm on a droid kick right now. I'm making Zoe a droid too, so she'll have a droid to wear too.
Oh, wow.
Before anyone makes fun of me, I didn't ask for it.
No.
I want to do it, but don't say I tell him to do stuff, because
No.
I didn't tell him to do that one.
She did not, but she wanted C-3PO, but Safi nixed that.
Why?
Why does she get both the famous droids, and I get K3PO?
I know. Well, what are you gonna do?
The world famous blue one?
The white one.
Oh, white one. Okay, never mind.
The white one with the creepy face.
Oh, the white one that curses out C-3PO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
No.
I want to be 3PO.
Well, Safi won out on that one.
Who was the shiny silver one in the Phantom Menace? Is that K-14? Who is that?
Oh, I don't know. I'm working on the white one from
Empire
Strikes-
Hoth
yeah,
base.
Empire, yeah.
I
Okay.
just don't want. I'm gonna have to chrome C-3PO. I don't want to have to chrome 2 droids. 'Cause
What if you did a protocol droid from the Clone Wars movie?
That's the one I like that one a lot. And I also like in the Evil Plans episode, there's background protocol droids that are like blue and purple and teal and green. They're fun.
they're just different sculpts though?
Yeah, but
Like I'd have to get a whole new C-3PO head. That's a whole different head.
that's true. But you can still, I don't know.
Do you think the random person on the street's gonna know?
But I would know. I'm redoing C3. I redid a whole C-3PO head because the one notch was wrong. So
You know, if we get enough protocol droids going around, like circulating within like affordable and people can wear them, we could get a whole new legion started that's all just protocol droids.
well, there is a protocol droid group, but it falls under the droid builders.
Here's an interesting idea. Custom clone troopers.
Yeah, that's
I like the sound of that.
That actually
Right?
sounds cool. I like that.
I don't know why it's not a thing.
maybe Bad Batch will make it happen.
Well, you remember the, speaking of protocol droids, he was, in the old expanded universe, there was one that was Boba Fett's protocol droid.
The one with the guns.
He was like green. I can't, his name's, they made an action figure of him.
Oh,
I actually have it here somewhere. I'm trying to think of what his name was. Now I gotta Google it because I can't remember. Zoe, how do you not know this?
I know, right? Well,
Which
she's not
one?
expanded universe girl.
No, I don't know anything about that.
BL-17.
Is that, yeah, BL-17. That's it. Was it?
Yeah, it definitely didn't look like
That's what it's saying.
didn't look like
The image-
C-3PO. That's for sure.
Well,
the image I'm looking
I
at
like the droid from the Mandalorian that was in the prison episode.
Oh, yeah. He kind of reminded me a little bit of Forlom, but
Yeah.
slightly different. Yeah.
Because that's what my wife was saying. Oh, you're figuring out how to make that costume, aren't you? Because that's the guy who played. That's Chris Bartlett that played that droid, and he's the guy who played the flute player in Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he
In the
also,
first one.
I also bought the girls' Jawa robes from him like 8 years ago. He did a bunch of C-3PO jobs for Lucasfilm in the couple years. Like anytime you saw C-3PO on like a Disney show, like 10 years ago or whatever, or 8 years ago, that was Chris Bartlett. Somehow I wound up hanging out with all the C-3POs in Orlando at Celebration at the Bash. It was me, Dan, Chris, and Christian were all somehow hanging out at the Bash. I was the only one that couldn't fit in a C-3PO costume.
That's why I say we need fluffy droids.
Sorry to get us off track of Mandos. So do we have Zoe? Did we miss any Mando stuff we want to talk about? Since you're the professional podcaster.
Have you guys heard the latest news?
Season 2?
Rosario Dawson.
Oh yeah.
I don't believe any of those casting rumors until
Well,
I see it.
The thing
about
was,
Michael
though,
Biehn?
Michael Biehn, they announced that too, and in announcing that, it also referenced the Rosario Dawson thing, so it kind of made me think that there might be some truth to that.
I think I think it's entirely likely that Rosario Dawson is playing some kind of minor side character. I don't think she's playing Ahsoka. I think
agree.
I think what happened maybe was, which, granted, this came from We Got This Covered, which usually when We Got This Covered says something, the opposite is true. But my hypothesis is that somehow it got out that Rosario Dawson was playing a minor character. And because there was like rumors and stuff like 2 years ago that she was going to play Ahsoka in something, people just jumped to Ahsoka.
And it also came out the same time as the Ahsoka episode on the Clone
Right.
Wars.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that Zoe, you and I had this discussion before. I forget whose podcast it was, but on somebody's podcast, they were discussing the fact that a major character like Ahsoka, it would probably be her own feature film or her own series. It would be something big like that where they actually introduced her in live action. It wouldn't be as a secondary character in something like The Mandalorian, where the focus wouldn't be on her. She would just be a secondary character.
Exactly. And like, I don't know, like
They did that with the Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man. They had him in Civil War as a sub-character before giving him his own movie.
Why would
Yeah,
they do
that's
that
true.
with this?
That's true.
I don't know, I think also like Ahsoka doesn't have anything to bring to the Mandalorian. And I say this as like a diehard Ahsoka fan who wants all the Ahsoka all the time. Ahsoka has nothing to add to the Mandalorian. Really.
Unless he's
That-
looking for some of these wizards.
Right, but she's not a Jedi anymore, first of all. And she's very likely with Sabine still looking for Ezra in the unknown regions. You know?
Which is close to the Outer Rim. You know, you don't think that there's room for them to intersect for one episode.
I don't think so. And I don't want Rosario Dawson to play Ahsoka anyway. I think Ashley should do it.
I think
Ashley
she
Eckstein
should
has
too.
said she wanted to do it. She looks awesome in the costume. She's done live action acting before. She can do it.
Plus, Dave's pretty loyal to his people. But
Yeah.
you know what's good is we're going to have a You Were Wrong show between you and Colin about a year from now, because one of you is wrong.
I do think it's interesting with the rumor about Michael Biehn. They said he's going to play a bounty hunter from Din Djarin's past.
Well, I could just still put him as a background character.
Yeah, very true.
He could just smash his head into the table at the beginning. And
Yeah.
With the Mandalorian, I'm more like I don't know if I want them to ever bring in characters we already know, because I think that makes it stand out from literally all other Star Wars
You're right.
that we have right now. I don't think there's, and granted I'm behind, but I don't think there's a single book or comic where there isn't some kind of character overlap at all. And I think the Mandalorian not having that really makes it stand out. And I think I want to keep it that way for the time being.
You're right. And now that I think about it, I'm thinking, because I'm actually up to date on all the comics and all the novels, they always include someone else, and it's their way of tying it into the universe.
And I don't think the Mandalorian needs any more than...
No,
I don't
no.
think it needs that, you know?
Really, the only tie-in that they've had has been the fact that they are Mandalorians, they talk about the Empire, and the Darksaber.
Yeah. I think really, if I had to pick one character I would really want to show up in the show that we already know would be Bo-Katan with the Darksaber. But I don't need that. You know?
I think when I saw that, whether it's fake or not, when I saw people starting to post that Rosario Dawson was cast as Ahsoka, my first thought wasn't whether or not I thought she would be good for the character. My first thought was, screw you guys for spoiling that.
yeah.
Like,
Well,
if
also...
Now
That's
I'm
the other-
expecting her to be in the show, whether it's a rumor or not. And I'm probably going to be disappointed if it's not, just because I've been told a lie.
That's the other thing, though, with The Mandalorian. If they could keep Baby Yoda on lockdown all that time,
Right.
they're not going to let Ahsoka Tano just like, oops. I guess it caught us on that one.
Yeah, you're right, because that was out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, that's Dave Filoni's doing. He's the master of secrets, it seems.
Yeah, and I don't
He's
know,
also the master of trolling, which could very well just be all this is.
Yeah.
No, but also super subtle foreshadowing has never been Filoni's. I don't want to say strong point because it's not like a weakness of his. It's just not his way of doing things. Like in Rebels, it's like, oh, who's Fulcrum? And then there's a close up on a crate and it's Ahsoka's symbol on the crate. Like it's not. I don't know. I think if they were planning on bringing Ahsoka so early to be in season 2 and not in like a later season, I think there'd be something to indicate it from the first season. You know?
We shall see.
Not necessarily. Palpatine came into the third of the sequel.
Filoni didn't do that one though. Filoni didn't do the sequel trilogy. Sequel trilogy is its own thing. We're talking Filoniverse here.
Filoniverse. Okay.
Filoniverse. There's regular Star Wars and there's Filoniverse, which is a step above Star Wars. You know?
I would agree.
You know, everyone always says like, "Oh, the movies take precedence." Filoni takes precedence to me.
I am Zoe. We've had this discussion where I've sat there and said I believe that Filoni's a better storyteller than George Lucas.
He's the best.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Every bit of content is based off of the Clone Wars series at this point, almost more than the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of his is a little bit more important at this point than the canon movies.
Yeah.
To be fair, George Lucas was also an equal participant in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And Filoni has recently
learned
been
from
saying,
him.
Well, yeah, Filoni has been recently saying like it was actually a lot harder than I thought it would be without George to help. So credit where credit is due. George Lucas. He also created, of course, the originals and prequels. So mad props, dude.
Yeah, you know, he still supported the entire series up until...
Yeah, he just created, like, the entire concept of Star Wars,
Well,
you know?
Just the way we always say, he created the sandbox to allow us to play in it. And he created the sandbox, and, you know, Dave is now in charge of the sandbox. I mean, that's kind of the way of looking at it. Dave is cleaning it? I don't know.
Supplies us with more sand.
It gives us more sand. There you go.
Always two there are.
Yeah. Does that mean Favreau is his disciple?
I don't know, because
Favreau, I think, would be the apprentice.
I
Yeah,
guess.
his apprentice. Yeah.
He was drawn in from the Jedi Order of other regular director work. And now he's in the Sith of Disney.
I would kill to be Filoni's apprentice. I will be his Padawan.
Just remember when you get to that point, remember all the lowly people that you knew along the way who left the warmth of their house at 10 o'clock at night to drive you back to Temple. Just remember. Okay.
Really? You haven't mentioned that you've done that before?
Not to name names or anything.
All right. Well, we have any Mando stuff to close it off?
If anyone's got any sort of interest, MandalorianMercs.com. You go on there, and the forums are a little difficult, but if you go on there, you can find who your local clan is, depending what state you're in. Reach out to them. They are always open and welcome to inviting new members. Or look for us at local events once events start happening again.
Yes, sometime this summer, hopefully.
Yeah.
We will not complain about trooping in the heat, probably.
Yeah, really, we'll be happy to be trooping at all. I guess if we're capping things off, thank you briefly to our friends Dominic and Clyde, who had to disappear early. We appreciate you guys coming on for the time you came on.
And Dominic, like I said, he's so nice to the fans. I can't believe, how nice he is to just every fan he meets.
And keep your eyes peeled for Thank the Makers. We're still working out the details of that podcast that hopefully will be up and running by the end of April.
Come on, you guys are stuck at home, man. Come on. Just kidding. And we're open for guest spots too. Or live podcasts. That's what Zoe and I were talking about. If we have an armor party this summer, once it clears up, we're going to set up a live podcast stage in the corner of the yard and just broadcast a bunch of stuff.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Hear nothing but me right next to the mic with a power sander.
No, we'll put it far away. we Zoe has a couple episodes.
Here to talk about.
Well, that's what I almost started printing a helmet, and then I was like, oh no, we're recording tonight. I can't start a helmet.
What helmet?
I'm finishing the back part of the second clone troop.
Phase 2 clone.
Phase 2 clone.
Ooh, you're doing phase 2 clones now.
Phase 2 clone. That's the next. I bought a royalties free model, and I'm gonna print it and mold it and have helmets out.
Nice.
Always got something going. A bunch of those helmets the phase 1s went out, so If anyone's looking for a Phase 1 helmet, I still got 2 or 3 left on the second run.
If anybody who's listening has received one of the Phase 1 helmets, if you got it done or whatever, put together, send us pictures.
Yeah. That's what I want. I want to see them done. I can go down my garage and see a whole bunch of undone helmets.
Well, I sent you a picture of mine primed.
Yeah. What you gonna paint it like?
I was thinking like painting like one of the Coruscant guards. I don't know why guards are my thing, but
yeah, you have a thing for guards.
And I didn't realize that until I said it out loud. What is wrong with me?
I just sent you a picture of my flat black one.
Yeah, I see it. I want the big guy's helmet from the Bad Batch.
Wrecker. Even though I'm not going to Celebration probably, if I don't see a picture of a Bad Batch group there, I'm going to be really sad.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Like if there wasn't at least one. And a Knights of Ren, but mostly Bad Batch.
I've been waiting for someone to do a group of the Cloud Riders with Emphas Nest.
Yeah.
That would be cool. That's just a lot of alien prosthetics, I think, is the thing.
And somebody to be Warwick.
Well, we have BT being printed. We have 2 BTs being printed, and we have no Afras yet. So we need an Afra to go with 000.
I guess BT will be on my list after. I don't know. I might do some random printing after I'm done with Mandalorian printing.
Yeah.
Zoe, I'm sure you could pull off an Afra.
Maybe.
How about a gender bent Afra? I could be an Afra.
There you go. But she doesn't guard anything.
She gets around guards.
I have too many costume ideas and projects right now, but maybe an Afra. Afra's a lot of soft parts, though. It's all soft parts.
You gotta learn how to sew while you're stuck at home.
I learned how to embroider and put patches on. I mean, I already knew, kind of, but I got better at it. I have a denim vest that I've been slowly embroidering, and 2 years ago, I said I was going to embroider a starbird on it, and I never did until, like, night 3 of the apocalypse, and I had it done.
Nice.
So.
You work at the same pace as I do.
I know. Well, I've had these patches forever I've been meaning to put on, and I put them on. Since I was like 10, I wanted to paint my light switch panel, and I did that night 1 of the apocalypse. So I've been really productive, actually.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting pretty desperate for things to do as well.
I have a list of things.
All right, so thank you, Frank,
Mike.
and Colin and Ken and Zoe and Clyde
And Dominic.
Almost forgot Dominic.
Thank you, Mike and Zoe, for hosting.
Yep. I guess this is it.